spot.
Yeah, it's a
That
good
was a good
spot.
crowd.
I've been doing shows there, and they like us. All right, let's try to do an open mic once a month to get the Mobile people there, get the Pensacola people there. Maybe I'll do like first round on me or something, since it's once a month.
Well, I think the Alabama crowd is just more like they're more receptive to the off the wall stuff. Does that make sense? Like
Okay.
I don't know. They just seem to have more fun. I've enjoyed my Alabama sets. I think.
Yeah, I like that. The area it is a weirdly diverse southern town, like a very small town, but is so diverse. Like Asians, blacks, whites, rich, poor, whatever.
Foley.
In Foley,
I
yeah.
don't know much about it.
Creoles.
We were just in the water park there, Owa.
Oh,
Dude,
yeah.
Owa is amazing. It's like a
I've been wanting to go.
It's like a mini, and people give me hell for this, but it's like a mini Disney World, right? Like
Yeah, okay.
we went there. Only difference is it feels like a deserted place. Like there's no one there.
There's no one there, but
No
that
one.
sounds good.
So I don't like roller coasters that much. So I didn't enjoy that aspect of it. But if I enjoy roller coasters, I'd be like, there's no lines.
Did you do the indoor water park?
Yes, that's what we did.
Is it good?
Yes, I like warm water.
Yeah.
That water there is kind of cold for me, but
Nice. All right. You're such a prima donna.
Dude,
You've been living in a gated community too long. You're
Dude.
like your nails are starting to you can feel when they're not done well,
And you know what? I accept that. I think you're right. I think I'm a little bit more bougie than I'd like to give credit to.
But by far you're the most like down to earth rich friend I've ever made for sure.
That's because I grew up poor.
No, I've made I don't know, I wouldn't consider my friend yet, but I'm working on him. I'm wearing him down,
Who was that?
Another dad for my soccer practice.
Well, you got to talk to him about like stuff that's important, like how to like the housing market and real estate.
Yeah, I try. He doesn't seem to want to have an opinion on anything. Like, isn't that weird? Like you're trying to talk to somebody and they don't want to have an opinion on.
Well, that means he must have really strong opinions. Then that's right.
He doesn't want to share them.
Yeah, that might be that. That might be what that means. Like he might be like aliens and. Right? Like
yeah, but most of those guys are pretty methed out, and they talk to you pretty right off the bat about it.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. Well, maybe he's a normal conspiracy type guy. Like,
yeah,
I feel like I got.
You know what's crazy? I was talking to him, and then another guy came up to me, and we had like a 5-minute stint on conspiracy of like, is God real? The universe? Like, he came out of nowhere. His kid was playing with my kid. He comes out. He goes, "What's up?" And then all of a sudden, we're talking about like, he's like, "I don't want to deal with none of those." People, you know what I'm talking about?
Wait, have you talked to him before?
No, never. He was talking about he doesn't want to talk about, he doesn't want his kids around. No people. Was his move.
I don't know what that means.
Chopping off their.
Oh.
He said,
that's a weird.
He said, that's why you can't do public schools around here no more.
That's a weird fear.
You got to do private schools, especially, he wants his kids around like, good Christians.
I don't know if that's true. I think public school sort of gets rid of that type of kid and it keeps them fearful of like wanting to do anything like that, right?
Yeah, the rich kids can do it way more.
Exactly.
They have all the support.
You gotta be kidding me.
Do you have more kids in your class? Do you have any kids that their parents tell them they're a different sex than they are?
No. I've not experienced that as a teacher. I've been teaching for 10 years.
Do you see any in any other classrooms, the other classrooms? Not one?
Not in the school I was in West Palm, there was a little boy who was very feminine, I'd say.
Yeah.
And I think since I left that school, it's been like almost 10 years maybe. So I think now he is, or she is, but it didn't happen in elementary school.
It didn't happen. Yeah.
I don't, the most I see is a little boy who's like very feminine.
And I don't care. I don't care if it's my personal opinion. It doesn't reflect Jeremy at all. Let's put that out there. Jeremy, he's a very welcoming person. I'm a welcoming person, but if we're discussing these things, let's discuss them, openly. I don't care if a boy wears a dress. I do not care. Like, if you want to be a cross dresser, I could easily have a conversation with someone like that all day. But when someone's like telling me that they're a different thing than what they clearly are,
Ooh,
it's just
I,
it's just I'll call you whatever name you want to be called by. It doesn't bother me. You want to wear dresses? I'll never make fun of you for wearing dresses if that's your thing.
mm-hmm,
Maybe I will, because if we're friends, I'm making fun of you. But
absolutely.
um, I don't know, dude. I just can't. I can't do the. I can't do. Hey, you have. I'm telling you that you're telling me, and it's weird to have a conversation so much about like sexuality and stuff, sex and like.
I mean, you don't have those conversations with your, your straight friends, your friends that are, I guess, normal, so to
Yeah.
speak. Like, so that's not a conversation you normally have with people. So I think to approach it with it like awkwardly or not sure what's going on, I think is fine. And for the other party to be like, I guess, defensive, I don't ever understand that. Like, if I'm asking questions, if I don't understand what you prefer, or if you look like a boy to me and I call you sir, because I'm very polite. I'm polite. I say yes sir, no ma'am a lot, and I've called people ma'am before and they are not ma'am, and it's never gone bad because usually I feel like they can tell I'm not.
There's no ill intent.
There's no ill intent, right?
Behind it. Yeah.
But I kind of agree with you, man. Like, I'm not about to. I don't care if you wear a dress. If I came in here today and you were wearing a dress for this interview,
You'd laugh.
I'd laugh.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like, man,
But-
Lamar's really.
Lamar's a woman now.
He's really trying to mess up his whole family. I think he's trying to. No, he's just Lamar's made a choice today to wear a dress.
But personally, the trans people that I've been around and I've met, only one of them was a felon that carried a gun. But the rest, not terrible people. I haven't met, but I haven't been around. I haven't been around, like, I would say, an activist, though. I've never been
Yeah.
around an activist
True,
of
here,
that.
me too. I have a good friend. One of my best friends. I'd say he's not trans, but he is very trans.
Active. He's an
He's
activist.
pro trans. I'd say.
He's an activist.
So like
in a way.
he's like with the whole sports thing. That's where I just kind of that's a difficult topic to even talk about because I think
He thinks men should be able to compete in women's sports if they.
he thinks if they're a woman and they identify as a
See, I
woman,
can't get behind that either.
I can't either. I don't think it's.
even.
I have kids, right? So like, let's say
Even me coaching
yeah,
at 6
exactly.
years old, the boys are stronger than the girls. It just is. It isn't like they're getting some other training or like they're at the house doing pull-ups and stuff.
It's natural.
They're just stronger.
Now there are girls at a certain age that could terrorize boys, right? Like it's.
Oh yeah.
But I think I think there just has to be a conversation about it. Like people are they're afraid to have it's like reparations, right? Like people bring up that topic and they're like there's one way or the other. Like because I'm black, people are like, oh he's for reparations. I'm like, no, I'm for the conversation. Like I wasn't a slave.
What's the conversation though? I
Like-
mean, how can
So reparations were given before in our history, right? Like so they give them to the those Japanese, the family of the Japanese people that were put in those internment camps.
Oh yeah, in World War II.
Yes, right. So it's not like it hadn't been done before.
What'd they give them?
I think it was monetary. I don't even know the exact.
It was just a little bit of money.
And I think that
Sorry, guys.
and an apology, right? So I think for me, it's like it's clear that slavery was an institution in this country. It helped build this country, and I think for me, it's just giving credit. It's not even apologizing for it. It's like, yes, slavery happened here, and it's the reason why we thrived so early on as our country. It's the reason why we didn't fail. I think, like,
Because I don't know, man.
it's a
I
big
see-
reason.
See, I
It's
can-
a big reason. I think.
This is where I'm gonna stray away from you a little bit,
go.
just because only the 1% own slaves. The
Agreed.
richest of the rich could own another human being. And it's just where I think the government's been lying to us forever. The history books, like you can't tell what's real and what's not. My dad and I were talking about this is back when Martin Luther King was like doing the marches and stuff like that in Atlanta. the police would attack the black men and stuff like that. But the only news that was being reported in my dad's neck of the woods, in the backwoods of Georgia, in the newspapers and stuff, was black men attacking cops
Oh yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
Atlanta. So that's your government. That's not just a news media reporting. That's your government.
That's in Georgia, probably a Democratic government at the time too. Democrats were like in charge in Georgia. Like that's another thing. People are like, people assume I'm a Democrat because of the color of my skin, and I'm like, it's not fair. Number one, like, because I don't know. I don't necessarily disagree with everything they come out with, but I don't agree with everything either. Like, and if I had to put myself in any class of party, it'd be no party. But like, I think we've talked about this before, but like libertarians, if I think that's like a form of government that I'm kind of more in line with. If that, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I'm a libertarian.
So like, I don't think that. I don't know, man. I think people have this. Even with the political parties in this country, like we think one way about a political party. It's like, are they that bad? Like Republicans get this bad rap, but Trump talks about it like they freed the slaves, right? Like, I don't know, man. It's not as bad as people think it is, but at the same time, I think we're talking about reparations, right? So I'm thinking that we don't deserve like some.
Should Native Americans get reparations too?
I think that's what the plan was with like with the casinos and the land, right? Yeah. Reservations. I think something like that would have been more realistic to me, and that's what General Sherman promised, was the 40 acres and a mule, which never happened, right? So there's this promise that happened that didn't occur. So there's this anger that happens after someone is promised. Like my wife will offer me, some good times after we get home from date night sometimes, and she'll be like, I'm tired, I gotta go to sleep. I'm like, I'm pretty angry after that, right?
Yeah.
Like
okay.
I want some reparations in the morning.
Yeah.
Something.
But I had a point that I was gonna make. It's okay. It's just I wonder if the 40 acres and a mule was propaganda to create separation between black and white people. When honestly, if you were a slave, what would you want? Would a 40 acres and a mule not be enough plus freedom? Like, I think freedom was like, hey, freedom sounds really, really good.
And that's what ended up happening. And
yeah.
Honestly, it was when I read about it, when I'm not like taking people's word for it, and I read like firsthand accounts.
What firsthand accounts?
Just what happened the 10 years after slavery ended, right? With Reconstruction, a lot of good was happening.
Yeah, but like then you had Juneteenth out in
that was just, we didn't have the internet, right? So Texas got the news late.
No, they had mail carriers back then that was going back and forth wherever.
Bro,
it was just rich people controlling the media.
If I'm a slave owner at those times, if I'm a slave owner,
you ain't gonna give them the news.
Not easy. No. I'm gonna try to keep them as long as I can. So strategically, I get it. Now we got a holiday that no one knew about until what? I think like I didn't know about it until about 10 years ago, I think, when I moved to D.C. I was like, Juneteenth? Okay. What is this? We got the day off. Thanks.
Cool. Thanks, Obama.
Right? Like, I don't know, man. Like, I do think there is something said to be to sort of like just moving forward, right? And being in a mind state that we're moving forward and not letting, whatever held us down keep us down. And I think we could get angry about all that shit and be like, oh, man.
But in what way are you down?
That's what I'm saying. Like, what's the point of that? Yes, shit look bleak, bro. Like, you watch a football game, Georgia's 27 to
28 to 7.
28 to 7. They come back and we're winning, right? Like, I don't know, man. I think excuses can be made for how you were treated and how you're going to act going forward, and using that as an excuse. But I think it's better to just be like, that shit's over, and now we're in a space where we can kind of make shit happen, so to speak, right?
Yeah, and for me, it's kind of like as a white, I don't know if I'm not speaking for white people, just me, okay? But you weren't a slave.
No,
Maybe your grandparent, not grandparent, but way longer.
possibly.
They are owed something. They were owed something, and they were wronged. But and but when was the last time you were wronged by slavery?
I mean, I could.
Be-
Me personally, I'm trying to think.
because I come from being a ninth grade graduate, poor as dirt. I I but by all means, I shouldn't even own a home or do anything like that if I'm just going off by what was given to me as I wasn't given the advantages either.
Well,
You get what I'm saying?
I do. I do.
I mean, I got the advantage of somehow my white skin helps me. Um,
It's a
Not
good.
with the ladies.
It's a
That's
good
for
starter
sure.
kit. It's a good. You have a good starter kit for sure.
But I think there's something to be said about being born in America because there's people that come here from Asia and all through the continent of Asia. They come over here, first generation, not even know the language, start off with dead zero,
I think we should
and
start
then
there always. That
and
this
then
we live in the best country in the world. Period.
there's no excuse for being like absolutely unsuccessful in America because even with technology, we have internet now. Everyone has the opportunity to make it further than where they are right now.
Agreed.
There's no way you have all the information at the palm of your hand
Well,
and willfully, because it's willful when you have it there and you don't use it to make your
agreed.
situation better.
And I think you made a good point with the sort of the narrative that is controlled by the people who control it. Rich, wealthy, white, landowning men controlled the narrative for so long, right? So it's like
All men used to own land.
so
Now the government
when
just owns it.
slavery became unpopular, they switched the narrative, right? And so now it's like they do make it seem so divisive. But if you walk outside today or you walk downtown Pensacola and you interact with white, black, it's never you don't feel like there's this divide ever.
No,
I've
no.
never you say when's the last time you felt it? I don't feel it. Like have I felt sort of racial tension before in my life? Yes.
Absolutely.
Do I feel it on a day-to-day basis? Absolutely not.
I
Like
did-
I am where I work. I'm the only other people that look like me that work there are janitors.
Mhm.
So it's like I feel like I put myself in a position where I'm like, even if that narrative is true, like I'm overcoming all of these negative stereotypes. But I'm like,
Exactly.
I'm not working that hard though. I'm not an activist.
Yeah,
So it's
you're
like
not working.
maybe the narrative isn't maybe it's not being delivered as true as it could
I
be.
think the narrative is division, and it's just as long as we stay divided enough, we won't realize who the real enemy
But do
is.
you buy into it? I don't see you as a person who buys into it and believes it, right?
Believes in what?
The narrative
The narrative? No.
that you and I are divided, or that you and the black guy across the street are divided. Like I feel like you're the types like he is like me. First and
we all have
foremost.
the same. We have a lot of even if we don't have the same opportunities. Let's just say like there's a business owner that obviously just doesn't hire black guys. There's a lot of businesses
And they
that
probably exist. And
trust me, I've worked for owners where I was the only white guy there, and it was clear
Boom.
that he was looking for a black guy to replace me with.
It happens.
I lived in Atlanta.
Dude.
I drove a box truck, and that motherfucker wanted me out, boy.
I think I think the confusion a lot of times is between like people thinking someone's being racist or racial, right? Like I can say I think racial.
What's the difference between racist?
I think
and
if you're being
racial?
racist, you're like literally like making moves. Like you'll move out of the neighborhood because a black guy moved in.
Oh yeah, okay.
Right? Or the black guy
I can't
moves
be
in.
around that guy.
Black guy moves in, you're like, I'm not gonna go introduce myself to him. But then a white guy moves in, you're bringing in a dinner plate. That to me is like that's kind of racist, right? But you know, it's not. See, that's still borderline to me. But like, I don't know. You lock your doors because you're driving in a bad neighborhood and you see a group of black kids like walking down the street. You lock your doors. I don't think that's racist. Like, I think you're being cautious. It might be a little racial, but I bet if it was a bunch of young white kids that looked unruly,
Dude, survival instincts is what
it's not racist.
Stereotypes. This is what people think. Stereotypes are all bad, but stereotypes save you in situations.
Bro,
You
I
know,
got yeah.
if I'm walking down the street and I don't give a shit what skin color it is, but I'm tatted up. But if he's tatted up, has face tats. If he got a face tat, bro,
Done.
I don't give a shit.
Uncomfortable.
I'm walking. I'm getting on.
I'm uncomfortable.
Exactly.
I don't care what color.
If your pants
Dude,
are
an Asian with a face tattoo, bro.
that's even scarier. They probably got a stomach tattoo.
Yes, that's
You know what I'm saying?
that's a triad. I'm not.
Dude. And if your pants are sagging, I don't like if you have 3 pairs of basketball shorts on to like extend the sag, I'm just not getting near you.
Here's this. I don't know what this is. This popped in my mind right now. Okay, so we got these school shootings, blah blah blah, and I'd say a lot of the school shootings happen in white schools, predominantly white schools, right? But then they're always like, "How do we fix this? We got mental health. We got to get teachers guns." And it's like, just put a metal detector at the front door, like they do in every inner city school in the black neighborhood.
Yeah, just do them all.
Which don't have school shootings, right? Boom. Like, why not do that? And then you have this security guard at the front door.
Because they don't want you to know that you're in a police state. Because in the inner city, they recognize it. Like, dude, they are policing us at school everywhere. But in the regular school, they're policing you too. They just aren't as obvious. And when the rich people or like the middle class and all the like those neighborhoods that don't have those metal detectors start getting them and start seeing, hey, we are actually basically prisoners in school, in the public school system, you know.
So
And it's safety too, but they don't want them to know.
The news reports something like that. They'll say that's a very racist approach on someone's part by not taking the same approach in the suburban school that they do in the urban school. You know what I mean? And I'm like, it's not.
Oh,
it's what I think it's more.
Absolutely, it's meant to divide. It's always.
But I think it's more true what you said, though. You know what I mean? Like
it's racially.
The story would be put out like that, but I don't think it is.
I don't think it's racially. It's
the police
financially.
But like you said, the inner city is more comfortable with police state. I lived in D.C. Cops drive around with their like lights on, sirens, sort of like they'll put a siren on just to like tell you they're there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I've never seen anything like that before. Like, it's scared. Literally, I'm riding around and they did that. I pulled over because I thought I was getting pulled over, and it's just a cop, just like a lion in the Serengeti.
Just wanted you to get out of the way.
Just announcing he's around the block. Like, I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Wow.
Like, police state. I see what you're saying. I totally agree with you.
But I think having it in those cities and not having it is also like just a meant to divide. You know, like they obviously you have more guns, more population in those inner cities, but I mean, guns.
Do you have more guns though? I think Pensacola has plenty of guns.
I don't know, per square mile, you're gonna have more guns in a city than in the country.
Okay.
They might have 30 guns in their house.
No, you're right. You're right. Or I could see that being true, but again, it's I don't know. So there's this. I think the push for gun. I love the Constitution. I think the Constitution is like a really. It's a smart document. It thought about a lot of things that could go wrong, things that were wrong in the past that they could they wanted to make sure they had things in place, right?
Yep.
And so like a gun. My only issue with guns is I think that there are too many. It's like a car. Like I think there's too many people untrained operating this vehicle, which is the gun. You know what I mean? Like I want to be a gun owner. The only reason I don't have one is because I don't know how to operate a gun. As soon as I go to take shooting lessons and like all that, like if I feel comfortable owning one, like I'm gonna make that big boy play. Like,
yeah, hell yeah.
Like I feel like, but that's my right.
You
feel me? Like yeah, let's go. I'm ready. There's one up on Quintet. Yeah. I'm ready to go. Like
we'll probably clean a pistol or two before we go shooting, just so you can know what everything is.
I'm ready, bro.
Yeah.
Like all of the amendments, the Bill of Rights are beautiful. Like the way they were constructed, the way they sat The way they sat down in a dark room, liquored up, and wrote all these rules,
And
bro.
nobody was over 30.
Nobody, dude. Just a bunch of
Bunch of fucking
frat boys
frat boys.
just putting together this country, bro. And honestly, I've met a bunch of frat boys. I used to live with some. They're fun. Frat boys are fun. I'll give them that. They know how to have a good time. The good ones, right? Like they're good drinkers. They're fun. They make good nicknames for you. They invite you into places that you didn't think you'd be in. I got invited to be in it wasn't like a white only fraternity, but I'd say they didn't encourage a lot of blacks.
Really?
Yeah, but they were like, come on in, dude. Sorry, I got distracted. There's a plant falling
on
neck.
you. It's all right.
We're good.
Yeah.
They were like, hey, man, do you want to be an honorary member? I won't name the fraternity, but I was like, no, I don't. That sounds horrible.
Was there other
There was no other ethnic.
you were like a mascot or something?
I'd have been a party mascot, bro. That's what it was.
We got to get all the good-looking white women here. The ones with the big asses. Come on.
I was not interested, man. I'm like, no, I'm good. They're like, you don't have to pay dues. I'm like, I don't have to pay dues right now.
You owe me dues. For my
That's what I should have said.
Your daddy can afford it, for sure.
The dad probably, dude, that's, okay, so I was not a slave. You made this point earlier. I was not a slave, so I don't deserve those payments, right? But then at the same time, the slave owners who were making millions of dollars and this, what do they call that? Generational wealth.
Generational wealth.
Their wealth is passed down, and their kids are still benefiting from.
And that's horrible.
See, if I think reparations, I think if it came from anywhere, and this is a thought, I've thought about this. If it came from anywhere, I don't think we should tax me or you to give out reparations to the, like in Chappelle. I don't think that should happen. Now, I think they kept good records, so they know who slave owners were. They know who the plantations were.
Yes,
tax those people, like charge those families, those estates that some of them are still operating,
but they didn't own slaves.
Some of those estates had slaves. It's in the record, right?
Yes.
And I think if they're passing down generational wealth that they made from slavery, and I'm not saying that's what should happen. I'm saying that makes more sense to me to have a conversation about. Then let's just lump sum, give all, because then you have to prove whose family went through slavery. Number one.
But the thing is,
my dad came from Jamaica.
Your grandpa, let's say your grandpa robbed somebody. Or no, somebody robbed your grandpa, all right? Somebody robbed your grandpa, and then he never got that money back. Does that mean you should go and punch his grandson for the money that your grandfather got stolen from him?
I don't think I should go punch him. I think that there are certain people that, if that were true, like if my dad owed your dad money.
No, like say my grandpa stole your grandpa's money.
So now you and I are sitting here, and your family owes my family money.
Let's say, my grandpa stole
your
grandpa's money.
I approached you with that. I was like, dude, I did
me.
some research. I'm not going to fight you on this, but this is a plan I came up with. If I came up with some like weird plan, I was like, can you, like, you're making all this money nowadays. If I'm poor, like if that were the circumstances and I came to you like, hey man, you think you throw me like $30 a month? I did the research. Your family owned my family this, or you stole this from my family. You kind of owe it to me. Can you help me out? And I was trying to like like, you know what I mean? Like being, what do they call that?
Payments.
Setting up a payment plan, right? Yeah. Like if I came trying to fight you, you'd be like, man, get the hell out of my face.
But either way, the only way it gets accomplished truly by law is with a gun, though.
If I'm trying to force the issue, yes.
Yes.
If I only have one answer that I'm looking for, and if it's any other answer than that,
exactly.
Then, yeah, I think so. That would be.
Can I throw this out there? Ultimately, when you look at it, not through just the brass tacks of it, is it jealousy over them having more than you, though? It's like, I'm jealous that they got that money and I didn't. And that they got it, and now their grandchildren have it, and I don't have that. I should have that. instead we need we're playing catch up. I think here like I'm trying to start generational wealth because I'm going to be the first generation to do it for my kid. So you have to start some. They started it, sadly, back in the 1600s. Dude, and you know what? My family was here in the 1600s. I did my like DNA stuff. It was in the mountains of North Carolina, early settlers of near Asheville.
Tobacco farmers, probably, or
Irish, Scottish,
indigo.
Tobacco farmers probably killed some Indians and had sex with them too.
That there was more. Honestly, there was more peace between. I wouldn't say more. There existed more peace than we are told between the whites and the natives.
Oh,
and
for
the,
sure.
And the damage was done through sickness mostly, and the spread of sickness and disease, and not direct combat. Like I'm
really,
yeah, that's what
they just threw him a blanket of smallpox. And said,
I don't. Yeah,
good night.
I mean, guess yeah, that could be the no, right? It was like we were in close contact. It kind of happened because we thought they were peaceful, and so peace brought sickness to the natives, and so some natives recognized that, and they did become more confrontational because they wanted to separate. But for the most, it was mostly disease that took out the natives, not the. That's man, I don't know, man. That's why I like teaching history, man. It's. I think that's what like we're in a time right now, even that. I don't think we understand. Like we look at this guy Trump, and he says some awful stuff, right? But he's saying things, and people are like, it's words, and his actions are. I think his actions are different than his words a lot of the times, and a lot of things he does are actually very proactive, and he's trying to help.
Yes.
And that narrative is never
what he's speaking.
Well, it's not what that's true. He doesn't help himself a lot, but also. The news organizations don't put that out there.
No.
None of them. And the ones that do, they don't even like talk. Even the ones that support him, they're like, it's almost like this blind support. So it doesn't even feel like it's like they're promoting him. You know what I mean? It's almost like propaganda. So it's
propaganda from both sides.
It doesn't help. It doesn't not help.
There needs to be like some
bland.
Middle.
Some person just honestly.
Why can't debates should be 3 hours long, and they're talking about their debates? This is what I'm.
It should be a podcast.
It should be a podcast.
They should sit down like you and I, and they just should talk. Like
I should be able to listen to a week long's worth of what their policies and what they're actually.
We have no idea who we're voting for at the end of the day. Like we are voting for the image of the like whatever party has put up. That's who we're voting for. Is their little poster, their little mascot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a dog and pony show, whatever it's called.
Like Kamala she could be the best candidate in the world, right? But it feels
she's a Marxist, and she
I don't know about that. I feels weird the way she was put in there, and we're told that that's now our candidate.
Yeah, and she quite literally said that she wanted to spread the hurricane relief appropriately. She said. To lower equity families first and everything like that. Instead of just who's there, just go across. Don't pick and choose. Just get to the first person and you go on to the next one. That's kind of how it's supposed to go.
No, you give it to the person who applies for it.
Yep.
Right, the person who's proactive. So maybe a first come first served basis, and the person who's most proactive, probably it's what do they say? The early bird gets the worm. All that's like that's probably how it should be handled. Like.
I'm pretty sure they have people there to distribute everything amongst everybody. They don't it's just the thing. What
they alienate so many people.
But what she's saying doesn't really hold any weight actually, because when that relief is pushed down, it gets pushed down to like responders and stuff like that actually go out and distribute everything, and they're not picking nobody. They're not saying, hey, you look poorer than him. Hey, I need tax stubs.
So
come up here.
She's saying what sounds good.
She's just it's like a middle school election. There's gonna be Gatorade in the there's gonna be Kool-Aid in the freaking water fountains.
We're bringing recess back.
We're bringing you get what I'm saying? That's what it feels like.
Yes.
It feels every time I hear her say, yeah.
It's disturbing, man. Like I don't
I'm glad that we can still have a conversation, though. I can't believe we had a 30-minute long conversation about reparations. I'm sure this is gonna be the end of me.
A conversation though. No one got.
Yeah.
We didn't have to yell.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think it's some. I don't. If I got a check from the government, that said reparations on it, I'd be skeptical. I'd be like, hold on, man. Like this, I didn't deserve.
Here's your reparation.
Yeah, I didn't apply
Here's your
for
reparation
this.
check.
Are you calling me a slave? I had white family members too. What's going on here? Like they didn't do their research. I
hate thinking of anybody as incapable, and I think that it just makes it's meant to make not only some black people think that they are unable or they're not.
That's a good point.
They're not great enough. What's the word for it?
It's a psychological mind fuck almost, where
Yeah.
it's a Jedi mind trick where you are putting, if you're giving them
if you
this,
tell a kid they're a liar enough, they'll become a liar.
oh yeah,
If you tell a kid they're mean, they'll become mean. If you keep telling people they are unable to do anything because of something someone's telling them, they'll eventually believe it. And I think
it's
so horrible.
That's such a good point.
Because I have yet to. I mean, I've lived in poor neighborhoods, but I'm sure now we're dealing with multiple generations of welfare state children now, and it's a different because the welfare state started in the 50s, 60s, whatever, and now we're having generations, multiple generations. So it is not only what their parents or grandparents were taught, it's now their parents are teaching their children, and their children are teaching their grandchildren that they are unable to do anything because
generational.
It's generational.
And you're making such a good, I think that a child is taught in 3rd, 4th grade that if I'm a black kid sitting in my elementary classroom taught that I was a slave, it kind of sits with you weirdly, right? And I'm not saying don't teach slavery, and I wouldn't stop teaching, especially in the school I'm in right now. But if I were sitting around a bunch of black kids, I probably would teach slavery a lot differently. Like I wouldn't spend time on it in the way that I do now, and I would focus more on some of the wins that blacks had during these times, because I think that is more of a narrative that's going to progress.
You had a black president.
And I think to me, I think during that time, there was people like, oh, racism is over. I'm like,
it's not over.
I don't know if it's over, but we are not as affected by it to a point where we can't rise above it, right? Like, there's no one saying it's going to really keep Obama from running for president. Whereas if he tried to run for president in the 60s, 70s, there would have been so many gatekeepers and been like, nah, man, you're not.
No way.
This is not happening. You're not going to make it past the local election. Mm-hmm. So I think the fact that
you're not welcome in certain towns.
I think a lot of times we didn't recognize. I think a lot of times it was recognized. I don't like the fact that we're like, oh, I see a black president as a black kid. I'm like, oh, now I can be president. It's like, no, I mean, you could have been president before you saw him do that. And I'm glad that you are seeing this as motivation.
Yeah.
But
he saw
he didn't have to see a
black president as a challenge, not as a
he didn't have to see a black president to be like, oh, now I can be a black president. Now he ran as Barack Hussein Obama in America and won. What were the odds of that?
And we were at war with the Middle East.
And he didn't do bad, I don't think. People might have not liked him, whatever, but he represented the country, I thought, very very presidential, if you will, right? Just what you think a president should be, sort of a placeholder, a mascot for our country. And I think he was perfect for it. And I think that's what people have a problem with this Trump dude is he's not presidential, but we had a lot of presidents that weren't presidential.
Yeah, I think we all need to
they want to
succeed, and every state just needs to be its own country. There's too many millions of people. And we'll come. Well, I mean,
I think there's a beauty to having a cohesive country, especially when you start having outside stuff coming in. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the domestic issues, I don't even want to bring this up, but the abortion rights, man. I think Trump is. I think he's misrepresented. I think what they're saying about his actual stance on it is not true, and I think he's putting it in the state's hands might be the best option because
Absolutely. Here's the thing. What happens? Let's do this scenario. Washington State, Portland, they're all getting super pro. They're pro-liberal, pro-socialism, right? Portland just legalized all drugs. Like, Washington is kind of a shithole. And, dude, what happens when they start issuing warrants for people's arrest for social media posts? And you're in Florida, and there's a warrant for your arrest in Portland because of your social media post.
That's what am I post? What am I posting? What's illegal?
Whatever they deem illegal.
It depends, man. If I'm saying if it's illegal to say that I'm farting in Disney World, that's the post I've had recently.
No, but free speech, you should be able to say anything.
But I don't.
Let's
I
say
also don't.
You said fuck all the white people. No, you said
Okay.
fuck all these honkies. And then Alabama decided that was illegal, and Alabama said, "Hey, you have a warrant for your arrest because you said something racist." Now, should states start extraditing people to different states for that stuff? Because in England, they're arresting people for social media posts.
Well, where did I say it? I mean, that's if we're gonna get
on social media. You said on social media.
So, but was I traveling through Alabama and I said it while I was there, or I said it where I live?
You said it where you live.
Then I think no, I don't think I think I would hope that if this were real, that my state would if that law was not active in my state, wherever I'm at, that because I'm operating under the impression that I'm within the law. Mm-hmm. Like if I broke a law in China right now, I would not expect China. I would expect the United States to be like, no, you're not extraditing him. So at that point, it would be very like my state would be like my country, and I would hope they'd back me up.
Yeah.
But if I knew
it's just a weird thing.
If I knew it was against the law, right? Like let's say it was just to talk about one of the politicians, and I got on there and I was like, this politician's ugly,
governor,
and I thought I was trying to be funny, right?
Yeah.
Man, I'd become an activist, I think, right? I don't think that would be something that would sit well. And then these conversations would become different. I wouldn't be able to like laugh about it, and I'd be more serious. We'd be in a state where we'd be like Russians. We'd become a bunch of Russians.
Yeah.
We'd be so serious all the time. And we drink a lot of vodka.
Do a lot of drugs. Do all the drugs. And
get reparations.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
I love all people. I know that this podcast is seems like, but I love you, Jeremy, not just because you're black. Well, that's one of the reasons. But I'm glad we were able to talk.
Yeah, man, me too.
I'm glad you were able to come over.
I want to come back.
Yeah.
Again and again.
Again and again. I want to come all over this room.
So many times.
So many times. All right. This has been a great podcast. Jeremy Young.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.